Welcome to episode 11 of season 2 of Prison Breaking with Sara and Paul. We just watched Bolshoi Blues.
No booze. No blues. You're a musician. You want it to be blues.
I don't. We watched Bolshoi Blues.
Dude, I did not remember how that ended. Like, for those of you who are on our Patreon community, we're watching the rewatch with us. Like, I sort of wigged out at the end of it. I had no idea where that ended.
I forgot.
Talk about a cliffhanger.
I forgot. I mean, one of the things about watching, we've talked about this before, but I think Sara and I have both been anticipating these episodes coming up because we had such intense work and we had such intense work together. It was by far the most intense work I had ever done on screen. I don't know if it, it was nothing. Nothing had ever really been asked of me like that.
Even on stage in a lot of ways.
I did some stuff on stage.
Kind of want to hear about that.
But it's like it brings you right back to it.
Like viscerally. I was actually very surprised. Because I rewatched these episodes before we did season 5. But I don't remember much of it. You know what's kind of weird? I don't know if I've ever said this before, but when I rewatched them, the whole thing, confronting it was a lot. And I was at a convention somewhere in the U.S. And it was like after a convention, I was like, all right, I'm just going to blow through as much this weekend as I can. And I drank a lot of wine and watched most of season 2. Not all of it, but most of season 2. And it it hit me. And then I think I just sort of forgot about it.
Yeah.
Because watching these again, I remember that feeling of shivering and it being so cold because you're wet and we were also in the studio, weren't we? We were in studio.
Yeah, we're on stage.
Yeah. And it was all air conditioned and stuff.
And it brings you back not just to the work, it brings you back to the day. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like I remember who was there.
It was multiple days.
Oh, it was multiple days. Also, they built a tank too.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
well,
I think the tank was the second day, if I'm remembering right. I might not be remembering right.
I don't remember, but so the way they shot that with the Sara and I in the bathtub is they built a motel room and they built the bathroom, and then outside of that they built this big tank. So anytime you see
huge plexiglass tank.
So anytime you see Sara, those shots looking up at her from the water, there's a tank with a plexiglass bottom, and the camera's under it. The camera was not in the water, right?
No, the camera was outside. As far as I know,
shockingly large tank.
Oh dear God!
I don't know why it had to be so big, frankly.
I think so that they could get a wide angle lens in there and not see, because if you could see the sides of it, you'd see that they weren't white. Right? Because it was plexi.
Right. And they needed to be far enough away to get.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know where to start. Should we read the intro to the?
Let's start with the index.
Okay.
Also, you were drinking out of a new mug while we were doing this. Paul has a Prison Breaking mug. We have merch, guys. If anybody wants some,
I made it myself in my garage.
You can.
With a lathe.
It's actually made out of cherry wood.
Yeah.
That you shellacked.
Nick Offerman came over and taught me how to make it.
Amazing. Yeah, you can find it on our personal Instagram, on our Prison Breaking Instagram.
Yes, and I looked on my Instagram, and the Prison Break link is in my link tree, but I don't know if the merch link is in my link tree, so we'll have to get that going. Okay.
Okay. So, our episode. Let me pull up my my little notes here.
So,
take it away, Calistine Indexer.
Bolshoi Booze, episode 211. It first aired on November 13, 2016. Beautifully directed by Greg Yatanis, friend of the show, making it Greg's second of eventually 3 that he would direct for the show. His first was Brothers Keeper, the flashback episode from season 1 that we all love so much. Monica Mazer and Seth Hoffman co-wrote it. This aired in the 8 p.m. time slot against its regular competition, Deal or No Deal on NBC, How I Met Your Mother on CBS, and Wife Swap on ABC. True.
Time out. If you read it too fast,
Sorry.
then people who are listening on YouTube aren't going to be able to translate.
Time slot. It's regular. This aired in the 8 p.m. time slot against its regular competition, Deal or No Deal on NBC, How I Met Your Mother on CBS, Wife Swap on ABC, and it drew 9.21 million live viewers.
Which is a
lot. The highest rating for the show in 5 weeks. And it was still, as we discussed in the last episode, right in the heart of November sweeps, we think.
The lepisode. The last episode.
I
like
that.
Episode. We're going to recap this because, dear God, Teabag escapes the cops that are coming to Mrs. Hollander's house by leaving his hand behind.
Ugh.
I challenge you not to feel viscerally disgusted by that. Aldo Burrows reveals that Governor Tancredi had evidence that could prove Lincoln's innocence.
Is innocence.
Is his innocence.
Also his innocence.
His innocence. But then Aldo, Lincoln, LJ are attacked by a company mole. And by the way, let's just take a moment and visualize an actual
mole with a gun.
It would be so good. That's not what happens.
I can work for the company. That's what he sounds like.
Is that your mole?
That's my mole.
Your mole sounds like he's from New York. I work for the company.
Yeah, he does.
Kim frees Mahone from the warehouse that Michael locked him inside. And first, he is very snarky and sort of shitty about it. Schofield arrives at a meetup, the Bolshoi booze meetup, hoping to find a plane and Lincoln to make their final escape out of the U.S. But when the people he's meeting find out that he brought fake nitroglycerin, they decide to kill him until Sucre arrives and saves the day. Yay, Sucre! Then Lincoln and Aldo arrive, having sent LJ to safety first. Meanwhile, Bellick leaves a threatening message for Geary, who, as you remember, stole all of Westmoreland's dug-up money. But Teabag gets to Geary first and kills him
before he can get a.
Yeah, no, say it.
They don't say it; they imply it.
Basically, saving 3
sex
workers from having to perform terrible, terrible acts. Kellerman tortures Tancredi in a motel room, P.S., but to no avail, so Kim orders him to kill her. This was known as our Valentine's episode.
In extraterrestrial news this week, on November 7th, a UFO sighting was reported at O'Hare International Airport.
Right?
In Chicago. 12!
I know, I couldn't believe this.
United Airlines employees and several other witnesses said they saw a metallic saucer-shaped craft hovering over gate C-17.
Of course, it's the Seagates.
Of course.
Yeah.
The FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, refused to investigate the matter. And in insect news, beekeepers reported this week that honeybees began experiencing a mysterious phenomenon called colony collapse disorder, which is when a show that Sara was on was canceled.
Oh.
Wah, wah, wah. Where large numbers of hives were being abandoned for no discernible reason by their worker bees. Were they unionizing?
By the way, I understand that the index is a little bit unhinged this week.
Yes.
It's because I'm a little unhinged, but also the tidbits from the world that our wonderful intern Drew Austin pulled up were just bonkers, and I love them so much.
Yeah.
In pop culture, on the same day as the UFO sighting, and possibly related, Britney Spears filed for divorce from her former backup dancer turned husband Kevin Federline after 2 years of a very public and messy marriage. A few days earlier, the movie Borat premiered at #1 despite its limited release, earning $263 million on a movie that cost them $18 million to make.
I hope he had back end.
Oh, man, I hope he made a fortune. That movie gave the world the phrases, very nice, and my wife. I don't know about you, but in my household, somebody says one of those at least twice a week.
Yep.
I would like to personally thank Sacha Baron Cohen because I love that movie along with everyone else. Also this week, the PS3, the PlayStation 3, which was the first to ever use Blu-ray technology, was released in Japan and sold 81,000 units in just over 24 hours. They were buying it so they could watch the Blu-ray of Borat. Oh. By the way, Borat does Prison Break would be enormously...
My brother. My brother, he's in the prison.
Okay, let's take a quick break and then let's talk. I have so many notes.
Okay, we'll be right back.
So many notes. Okay, bye. Welcome back.
Okay, well, I don't know how to. I feel like I need a
Okay.
psychiatrist couch to talk about this episode. Like I should lay down and free associate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, can we start with the stunt woman story?
I think we should. So I'm curious to see if we remember this
Yeah, me too.
similarly, because one of the things the older I get that I learn about memory is that things
Change.
sometimes become slippery and you compare notes with someone later and you're like,
Yes.
wait, no, it wasn't a UFO. It was
Right.
a Tesla. Whatever. Sorry, my brain just fried. So we alluded to this in our conversation with Eric Norris. Are you okay? You're like off to the side, out of frame.
I'm out of frame.
Yeah, there you are. Oh, now you're back. Hi.
Well, it seemed good.
So here, okay. Why don't you start with what you remember of this?
Okay, here's what I remember.
Because it involves you, in some ways more than me.
Right. So this is what I remember. The day we're doing the torture scene, not in the tank, in the tub.
Right in the hotel room set.
In the hotel room set.
Mm-hmm.
I get called to set to do a stunt rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pre-rehearsal, and at the stunt rehearsal are me, Greg Catharsis, the director, the stunt woman who's playing Sara,
Mm-hmm.
Eric Norris, I believe it was Eric,
Mm-hmm.
stunt coordinator, and I think the AD.
Yeah.
And they're
That's
going
right.
to.
Who may or may not have been Jocko Phillips.
It may have been
I can't
Jocko.
remember if Jocko did this episode or not.
And they're going to teach me, how to dunk her safely in the water
Mm-hmm.
and pull her back up. She is tied. Her arms are behind her back.
Mm-hmm.
She's in a chair leaning over the tub. The tub has no water in it yet. It's going to be filled with water. At this point, it has about 2 inches of water in it. I think they were just seeing if it would leak or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the stunt woman is sitting in the chair, and she says, as they often do, or Eric and she said, you put your hand on the back of her collar and on her shoulder as if you'd be pushing her. She is going to launch herself out.
Mm-hmm.
Like she will be in control of that movement. And she was like, and you can fake pushing me down and I'll push myself down and then you can help bring me back up.
Mm-hmm.
That was the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Sara was there watching.
That's me. Hi.
And I'm sitting on the edge of the tub, and all I remember is she launched herself out, and I launched myself with her, and she went down, and I went down with her. And I smashed the back of her face with all my weight into the bottom of that tub that only had about 2 inches of water in it.
Oh, this is interesting. I remember a few of these things differently.
And I felt, first of all, I'll never forget like the feeling of that.
Ooh, like the thud.
Like the kind of crunch of it.
Oh.
And then there was I also remember the tub like immediately filling with blood.
Yeah.
And I remember her coming back up, and we both know, and then she was immediately like, well, okay, I remember pulling her back up, and I remember you going, fuck this, and turning around and leaving, which I totally understand.
My reaction has to do with the parts of this I remember differently.
And then from there it was, which was a really strange experience because I felt like that was 100% my fault.
Oh, not at all.
Oh, I still disagree. I knew better from theater that my weight should never have been out and over her. And she went for it too hard, and I went for it too hard, basically. And there was no water in the tub, which was weird.
God, I remember this. So
also, there should have been pillows in the tub, or she shouldn't have gone down. Anyway, immediately what happened, and I feel like in retrospect, this was like, this is what they do with act. This is the difference between theater and film. Like, this is video. Like, immediately, the ADs were like, "It's not your fault," and the stunt coordinator was like, "Not your fault." And it was like, I was like, "Can we just take care of her?" And
because she's
bleeding from here. I don't think she broke her nose, but
No, it was her forehead.
she had a really huge gash. I remember going to my trailer, calling my wife at the time,
Aww.
and like almost bursting into tears. Like I've like killed all these people in the show, and I'm feeling macho. Like the feeling of not just like hurting somebody, but hurting someone who is defenseless. It was like just the grossest. It was literally gross in the true sense of the word. Like it was nauseating, physically. And that's what, like, why don't you tell your...
Well, the coda to that is it was days before her wedding. She was getting married that weekend.
I have a coda to this too, which is kind of gendered and hilarious. But go on.
Well, okay, let me back up. I remember, along with you, being called to set, we have a pre-rehearsal. And I don't have a memory of this part, but I imagine that we all had a lot of nerves going into that day. Because this is a big stunt sequence,
and it's a big acting sequence. Like we're doing that whole, we're doing the room.
Yep.
And then we're doing the bathroom. I mean, those are two like crucial scenes, and with a pretty complicated stunt.
And water element. I mean, I think part of why they built this was so that they could be in charge of like draining the tub. And, you know, also like big. Big, what you call issues? Big, like health and safety issues.
Sure.
With sticking somebody in water, but also just from a shooting standpoint.
Be able to move the walls.
I'm wet.
Right.
It's going to be a 2-hour reset with hair, makeup, and wardrobe. So you want to be really careful to shoot in sequence. So I remember at this point.
No going back.
No going back. And I don't remember. I think we'd already shot the stuff in the anteroom, but I could be wrong about that, in the other room.
We did.
But I remember being called to set, and same people were there that you mentioned, and I remember there being no water in the tub and being walked through, here are the steps of this dunk. And I remember saying exactly these words, that's not safe. I was like, there is no way.
I recall this
that
now.
When his body is leveraged, because you were being asked to be at the back of the tub, leaning over
her.
And I was like, once the weight of his body is past his hips,
correct,
he will not. And I remember eye rolls, not from you, but people standing around were like,
fucking actresses.
This was one of those moments on Prison Break where I was so aware of being a woman. And I was like, it's not safe. And there was a, fine, we'll show you. So I remember filling the tub with water.
Oh, we'll show you. I remember.
As far as I know, it was the first time I'd ever put my foot down on the show and been like, I don't want to do this because this doesn't look safe.
I now remember this dynamic, which was a kind of like, I fucking told you dynamic, which is totally understandable and acceptable.
Well, it wasn't, I told you. It was, I want you to look out for me better. Like, even
I know. That's what I mean. Like,
my heart is racing.
I just said this wasn't going to work, and you showed me exactly how it's not going to work.
And instead of taking me seriously, you blew me off as though I was afraid instead of understanding how physics work. And so what I remembered was that they did fill the tub. When you did it, it's kind of neither here nor there.
Well,
but I remember
would have made a
Down.
difference. I mean,
because in my head, I remember somebody going, they sent us back to our trailers because they're like, well, we've got to drain the tub and clean it because it's full of someone's blood.
I remember it being like not very much water.
Okay, maybe it wasn't full. Maybe, I mean,
it certainly wasn't full because
Because could you see the amount of blood in there?
Yeah. And it wasn't, I mean, I guess I don't know how much water would have stopped the force of it, but it really felt like we were traveling through air to the bottom of the tub.
I mean, I remember watching it happen and just going, oh my God, and feeling instantly for both of you. I do remember her coming up and being like, I'm fine. Like, she did that stunt person thing where she was just like, do not worry about me. Everybody calm down.
That was my fault. That was not like,
100%. And again, I actually don't think you did anything wrong because you did exactly what you were told to do.
I was, they were like half speed. Like it wasn't half speed. I'll tell you that much because you can't do that half speed.
No, I mean
unless you're doing Pilates, you can't like go out over your
truly without
she launched like she literally and we both like they were like actually we both like went like that like there's no
there's nothing to hold your weight. But yeah, I mean it was.
Do you remember walking away?
I remember,
which I think was actually quite generous. Because you didn't make it about you. Because there was this sense of like, that would have been my fucking face.
Well, also, that would have been, like, that would have been the day.
That's what I mean.
We couldn't have shot for the next, like,
week?
Several weeks. I mean, she had stitches that
Correct.
went right down her. I mean, she went immediately. They were like, ER for you.
Yeah, and then my coda, well, I have a coda too.
I remember being. Here's something I've learned about myself. I did not know it about myself then. In my defense, I was 29. But something I've learned about myself since is I'm a pretty reasonable person unless you put me in the position of having to protect myself. Once the people whose job it is to make sure I'm safe make it clear that I have to be that one, I go from calm to dragon pretty quickly.
I would push back on you saying that that's unreasonable.
Well, I'm not saying it's unreasonable, but it's something that I've learned.
I'm normally reasonable. Like your response, frankly, was reasonable.
Well, I think part of why I took myself out of the situation is I was like, I'm about to have a bunch of emotions that I don't need anybody else to be responsible for. So,
and also you didn't need to stand there and say,
I'm out.
I'm not doing like there was other like she was bleeding.
Yeah.
And I was freaked out. Like it was like you left because it was like, okay, you guys got to take care of this shit. I don't remember. I mean, I have a coda too on it. I don't know how we ended up how did we end up shooting that?
Well, I think you came around the side of the tub. So the original thing was
I was in back of you.
If this is the edge of the tub right here, I'm here, you're behind me, you dunk me, we both come up, presumably so we could stay in the same shot. What we just watched was I'm here, you come around the tub.
Uh-huh.
So now you're not so far out and you've got control over my body and your body.
Like I could basically
control my body.
I could basically get my hand under you if I wanted.
That's right. There's no way. I mean, A, you're not going to fall and throw my head into the tub, but B, you can pull me up.
I also recall you not having your hands tied when you went in the water.
Oh, I bet that's right. I bet we cheated that. Yeah, because I needed
that would not. Yeah, that would be like no fucking way.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
I mean, as bad as it was lucky. And
it also made a lot of that fear on my face super fucking real.
Yeah, made me upset.
You know what I mean?
It made me upset too.
To watch somebody.
My coda is that I felt terribly. And that woman was getting married.
She thought it was cool, by the way. She was like, dude, I was something.
That's what they're like. But like, I don't know. I always remembered it as the next day. I don't know if it was actually the next day, but it was soon.
It was super soon. It was
she then did the thing where she jumps out the window through the windshield.
Yes, but that was a different episode. So
I know, but it's the next episode. It could have been the next day. I remembered it being the next day because I remember driving. Okay. I remember getting a bottle of wine.
Oh God.
And writing a note.
So sorry.
But
again.
And driving out to set. This is, I think, the gendered part. And giving it to her and her being like, yeah, thanks. Like, like
just doing my job.
Like, also kind of like you fucking wimp. Like, but also like Like if I had hurt a male stuntman, I mean, I certainly wouldn't have bought him a bottle of wine, but like I may have written him, and I don't know. I felt like this kind of like I hurt a girl thing too,
Okay,
which
but
would be
in your
different if I was like,
defense,
and I felt a little, I felt her kind of disdain for that, which I understand.
sure. And I mean, I got to say, for all the things about being a woman on a set, I cannot imagine the way it's magnified for stunt women.
Right.
But to me, also, an element of it was, oh my God, it's right before her wedding. Like, if you had heard a stuntman the weekend before his wedding, I can see you driving out to set and maybe it would have been scotch or bourbon, but just being like, dude, I'm
I'm
super
so sorry.
that your wedding night, you're going to have to take 4 Advil for your splitting headache because you've got
Right.
stitches in your skull. Like, that washes for me with who you are.
Yeah. No, I guess that's true. I would have. Yeah, I still would have been dismissed, right? But in a different way.
Yeah. I mean, and also like that's kind of the stuntman ethos. And I've heard this from a bunch of them and I understand it. And I have a vague memory of her saying something to me the next time I saw her, which must have been that jump out day, which is this went the way it should have. It was me, not you.
I mean, that is actually true.
I mean,
that's why
if it had been me,
it's also
would
why you
have
use
been-
stunt people because
that's right.
they know how to take a fall. They know how to do that. I mean, you would have had your face smashed in exactly the same way. But that's one of the reasons why stunt people they know how to do it better. But also, if something goes wrong, they kind of know how to deal with that too.
Yeah, that's right. And I think this is something we didn't talk about with Norris, but when I'm on the directing side, one of the things I find most useful about having stunt actors around is the rehearsal.
Sure.
Is to go, I don't want my actors to run this fight 15 times.
No.
So we're going to run it 3 times for camera to watch in rehearsal.
Yeah.
And then that is a part of the job is the like, let's show everyone what this is about. Yeah, that is to this day, I believe, one of the wildest stunt moments.
Yep.
I've ever been
story.
a part of.
It's a story I tell. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I forgot, which is interesting, that you before it, because I remember this so clearly now.
Mm-hmm.
That's
not safe.
That's not safe.
It's not safe.
Yeah, not great. Not great.
But,
all right.
But actually, the coda is we then all came together and shot some work I'm really proud of. And it did feel like when we were filming it, it did feel safe.
Yeah.
I remember being nervous because anytime you plug your face into water and stuff, but
I'm so glad it was you.
Everybody seemed to really let that go and then come back.
Yep.
It couldn't have been an hour later.
No.
And been like, okay, so now how do we get this done?
And then I will say, to your eternal credit, you're a class act. And like for someone who's like not going to take any shit, also a total gamer. Because not only did you do that, then you went to the tank and were like, okay, how's this going to work? Right? And then they're like, okay. Because if you fell into that tank.
Oh my God, it was like 4 feet deep.
Yeah. I don't remember. Because there's only one shot from there that I'm in.
That's right. That's right.
And most of it is, and oh God, I remember you doing it over and over again too. And being so, being wet.
We shot the ever-living shit out of it.
Being wet is challenging.
It's not my favorite. Although, again, I will say it takes away a lot of acting. Like,
and
you just are wet.
NAR, no acting required.
No acting required. So here's something, and we've got lots of other notes and stuff, but to just sort of go through this a little bit, as I was looking through fan questions, nice mug, Paul.
Thanks.
And I don't.
When you said that before, I thought you were talking about my weird young face.
Your weird young face. So a lot of the fan questions for this episode had to do with what do you do after a scene like this? When you go back to your trailer, how do you shed this stuff? And do you have an answer to that?
What a great question. I I I will be. I'm not great at self-regulating,
Okay.
and I'm an excitable type. So I still, even at my advanced age, if I have a big day on set, whether it's emotional or not,
Mm-hmm.
my response to that is seldom the specific content of the work, and it's usually the intensity of a challenge and everybody doing it and having a 14-hour day and being done. Like it can be, I mean, I did the Menendez brothers thing, right? And it was these long
Yeah.
monologues, and it wasn't particularly emotional, but it was incredibly challenging.
Right.
I had the
Shoulder to work.
same kind of thing at the end of those days, which is I am fucking wired up.
Oh, you're a like go home can't
Oh
sleep kind
my
of person.
God. Like I don't know what to do with myself. I will say in that
Interesting.
particular case, I remember it very specifically. I was incredibly, incredibly relieved for a number of levels, on a number of levels. One, that we got it after what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, we're fucked. Like this
Yeah.
day is fucked up.
Right.
Two, very, very pleased and proud that we got it and it felt like we did great work given that.
Mm-hmm.
So
And it
there
felt
was,
like we were there for each other
I
as
mean,
actors.
I was going to say, first of all, I was going to say from an acting perspective, I'm going to try to say this all without crying, that I'm such a, kind of
No,
such
dude,
a,
cry.
he's such a, I'm so macho.
I'm a middle-aged perimenopausal woman. I live in the crying zone. Let's
I'm
go.
so grateful as an actor that it was you, but I'm also so grateful that like as a partner, as a human, it was you, because those are two different things. I mean, I'm glad I got to work with your acting skill on that day because it made what I did so much more fun and so much easier. And two, I'm so glad that like you were there to deal with that problem because you dealt with it beautifully and classily, and that made all the fucking difference. Because it could have been, and understandably, a nightmare. It would have been well within your rights to say, "I'm not doing this today."
Yeah, you get in the car and you go home.
Yeah, or like we got to figure out. I'm not going in the water. Like I would have understood it. You know, and I don't just mean, oh, you sucked it up. I don't mean that. Like you made it safe. You went immediately to how are we going to solve this problem. And Greg also, to Greg's great benefit or to whatever
Credit.
credit, he didn't panic. There was no shouting. There was no blaming. It was like, okay, well, how we got to make this. Obviously,
What's the next step?
take care of her. What are we going to do here? Also, we were down a stunt woman.
That's right. We didn't have a stunt double.
Right.
I can't remember if they brought anybody else in.
No, they didn't, because I actually think she was just there to choreograph it.
Well, because there are no shots in the sequence
Of her.
and maybe there would have been.
I don't think there would have been.
Everything is the two of us in there.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful that we by then trusted Yatanis,
Yeah.
trusted our AD, trusted Norris. Like
And that you trusted me.
Yeah. Everybody there, I think everybody there was able to go, okay, that was a mistake. Mistakes happen. Let's fix it. As opposed to, this is yet another sign of a deeply dangerous place to work, and I'm putting my foot down.
Yeah. What? So to the question that some of our listeners posed, how do you what happens for you at the end of a day like this?
You know, I'm going to start with an answer that I think is better than mine, which is our mutual friend Peter Page. We once had a conversation about this. And I'll tell you why in a sec, but he had played a character on Queer as Folk who I guess carried a lot of trauma. I didn't see it, but he told me once that he would, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here, he would look at himself in the mirror after he took off all of his hair and makeup and wardrobe and was back in his clothes and his skin and would like talk himself through it. Be like, okay, Emmett stays here. Peter comes home. And there was that separation. I hadn't evolved anything really like that. I often have the opposite reaction from you, which is I go home and I am toast. I just like
I think I am.
sleep.
I think I am toast. I just think my adrenaline is.
You're wired.
Yeah.
I mean, so here's the thing. And I actually, as I was sort of thinking about this episode over the last few days, knowing we were doing this, one of the things that I think is interesting is somebody said to me a few years ago, and I've heard it a few times since, that the body doesn't know the difference.
Correct.
Between fake trauma and actual trauma. I hate the word trauma. I'm sorry. Between acting and life.
Right. The body doesn't know you're acting.
Right. And so when you dump these chemicals, this cortisol and stress and panic and adrenaline and everything into your system, and when you put your body through this, and I mean, it sounds like a weird thing to say, but like, so it's in there. It's in you. And at a certain point, when I'd been acting probably 15 or 20 years, and most of my characters lived in very extreme circumstances, Prison Break, Walking Dead, Colony, like these are all super high stakes.
Yeah.
Your life is in danger a lot shows. I got to a point where I was like carrying shit. And stepping back from roles like that became really important. And learning how to process some of that, which is really weird. But I know how people talk about like actors get crazy, man. And you look at like people who've been doing this a long time, and I've met some of them, and some of them are a little nuts.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that's like, yeah, maybe that is actually because.
I think that there's a chicken and egg thing.
Sure.
I think that one of the reasons we become actors is because we can pretend to be in those states, which I understand are kind of real. But and I think one of the reasons why we're attracted to doing it, like I'm sure you've been around actors either in class or in school or even in set where they go, yeah, I don't want to go there. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes if it's healthy, although your body doesn't know you're acting, you can get it to be catharsis. I mean, we used to say in theater, there, in commedia, which were these extreme emotions, only happiness, sadness, fear, or anger, like in extremis, that we would say all states are a state of joy, though, ultimately. Even if you're playing the deepest sadness or the most fear or anger, because it's play and also because it's shared and in service of something, that there's something joyful about the expression of it, and that at least it's being excised.
Yeah.
Now that's in an ideal world. If you go and do this and it doesn't feel safe, or you go and do it and it's unsatisfying, or if it feels in service of something shitty, it can all get twisted up. But ideally, it can be, even though it takes the physiological toll on you, there can be something cathartic about it.
I like that. I like that a lot. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, ideally.
Well, and for what it's worth, I think we actually got to a pretty ideal place that day because I'm proud of the work we did.
I'm very proud of it.
And
I felt...
And I agree. I'm really, really, really glad that I was doing it with you, because I know you to be somebody who actually cares about other people's safety more than your own. There's no part of you that's like an off-script cowboy who thinks it's funny to get lost in a moment. No. And I knew I was never worried about you taking things too far or getting lost in a moment or being unsafe, or you know what I mean? Like it never crossed my mind.
Good. One of the great lessons of, I think maybe anything, but it's heightened in acting, is there are, and I just had the thing I was telling you I did last Friday. There are always going to be, it's never going to be ideal. There's always going to be things that go wrong. Whether that is literally in the work, or if the person who's holding a camera is chewing gum loudly,
Yeah.
and and you actually have to actively choose to work past it.
Yeah. Or incorporate it
or incorporate it or something. But if it bothers, and of course it bothers you, but if you go down the road of it bothering you, it's not that shouldn't be happening. You have to remember that is the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like the job is, don't let that fuck you up.
Yeah.
And it's a subtle difference. But I always used to look for the perfect environment. And what you have to understand is that like you're missing the point.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was proud that we did as a company, but also you and I did, is that given that thing that happened, that we were able to still go in there. And I remember shooting the scene and feeling very connected and very loose, which is the thing you're looking for. Like it didn't feel planned. It felt very, Meisner-y, like back and forth in those conversations, I will also say that I got to basically imitate some of my favorite movies and stuff of all time.
Who were your references for this?
Well, just in the thing that when Yatanis asked me to do the thing on the bed where Kim says, go kill her. And then Yatanis was like, and I never really worked this way before with a director. He was like, okay, I'm just locking this off and just do like 10 things and take as much time as you want. But the in-between stuff doesn't have to, I'm going to cut it out. It's going to be these dissolves. So sit on the bed, lay on the bed, do whatever you want. And I'll just put it together later. And then, of course, the torturing you part reminded me of, but in both outside the bathroom and in the bathroom, the Marathon Man thing, which is is it safe? Is it safe?
Oh,
is it
shit.
safe? Is it safe? Is it safe thing? I just thought about the psychology of those things. And like you said, the abuse dynamic, which is I'm going to be really cruel to you. And then I'm going to take care of you. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you it's your fault. Yeah. Yeah. Because, I think
you're in control.
The work I did on Kellerman here is that is his firm belief. Mm-hmm. That's not like, he's like, you have this information. I need the information. Don't make me do this. I like you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why are you making me do this?
Do you think he kills her either way, right?
No.
No? Do you think there's a world that he lets her go?
I do. I think I had to play it in that, yes, I think that the Kim thing is a surprise to him.
Okay.
That he's like, I'm going to go get this information from this person. She doesn't need to die. And I think that's not an option for him, or that wasn't on the docket for him. I mean, I guess I'd have to think it's somewhere in the realm of possibility. But I think that dramatically that works as he really doesn't want to kill her.
I mean, that really comes across, and that's really interesting.
It's also interesting that the way he kills her is inefficient.
And
he doesn't want to watch her die.
Walks away. Yeah.
And he walks away.
Yeah.
And he lets her
There are ways to do it that are...
Yeah, I mean, he could have shot her. He could have held her down. Mm-hmm. He could have electrocuted her to death. And he's like, okay. It's very, for him especially, it's very passive. I mean, also it allows her to escape. But that's...
No, but and a lot of the fan questions made it clear, like it feels like such a departure for him. And a lot of fans were kind of comparing
Which
the
part?
way he chooses the way he chooses to kill her and the sort of reticence, and especially a lot of people were comparing it to killing Danny, which
again is
also
like your fault.
Very heavy, lots of regret.
And your fault. Danny's fault.
Absolutely, but also more definitive. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to stand here and face you and shoot you.
There's like warrior code shit going on there.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
I think it's disappointing.
Yeah.
It's disappointing.
Yeah. It's that thing that the abusive father says. They're like, I'm very disappointed.
I'm very disappointed. And
Do you know
like,
what I
this
mean?
is going to hurt me more than you. Like, it's
Right.
about, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah. 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 Oh, fuck. Oh,
Why are you making me do this? He's
Yep.
pissed.
Yep.
And
Which is such abuser
I also
psychology.
think that this is the beginning of the turn for him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Danny thing, again, that was like, that's a real betrayal and the real abuse of a certain code. This is a step further than he hasn't really killed. I mean, I guess Letitia Barris was an innocent.
But yeah, I mean, I was going to say, like, not just an innocent,
A
but like
friend.
Letitia, well, and a civilian, somebody who genuinely does not have something to do with this.
And I think somebody he cares about. I mean, I think, again, like the whole thing about being a con artist is you have to kind of actually connect.
Right. Right.
And I think he genuinely likes her.
And there's been such an attrition of trust between him and the company, right? Like, he doesn't
Yeah.
have direct access to the President Reynolds anymore. He's being jerked around by Kim. There's this sense that if you're going to make these massive moral compromises for people who value you and who love you and who are taking care of you when you're a part of something, that feels very different than, I don't know if I have a home here anymore. I don't know if I can trust you.
His whole thing, I mean, as I constructed it in my brain, was this is somebody who the ends justifies the means. He's a true believer in country. He's a true believer in Carolyn Reynolds. And what's starting to happen here is like, this seems beyond the pale. I don't know why this is happening, so.
And they're betraying you.
And they're betraying me.
Like, as that continues to happen. I want to circle back to something.
Yeah, I have
I know
many
this
other
is a long
notes.
episode. Yeah, and this may just be a long episode. That's okay. But when you were talking about, I can't remember how you phrased it, but it made me think of when we were doing the rewatch. You said that the line, "I'm not Lance and I'm not an addict," was an ad lib.
Yeah, I think it might have either was an ad lib or it was a suggestion.
Okay.
But I kind of remember just doing it on the day. I think I was getting a little cocky at that point.
Why not? I mean, it was really fucking cool. It also sets
so
a
nasty
tone. Well, it sets a tone of power. Do you know what I mean? Like, to me, it says, so we are no longer equals.
Right.
I have all the power in this relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use it all.
Yeah. Truly.
And
it was...
it's such a great line.
Yeah. I love how much people like that line. There's also somebody... my ex-wife always not making fun of me, but she always says, "And now you are going to die." Like, she was like, it's like Barnum suddenly. And I was like, I don't know why it came out in that way, but like,
that's really funny.
Because in my mind, it was like super paternal.
Yeah. That's honestly how I received it.
Like super like. Now I'm taking your phone. Like, it was really I'm treating you like you deserve to, like.
It's very patronizing.
Very patronizing. Like, super. You dummy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and when he calls her stupid repeatedly, it's interesting.
And make a smart choice for once in your life.
Yeah.
It's that. I also think that is part of the psychology of, you need to have that kind of superiority in order to hurt people, kind of, in service of something larger. It's like, you did this. Right. It's like the Shigur thing in No Country for Old Men. It's like, if all your choices brought you to this, if your code of conduct brought you to this moment, then what good was it?
Do you want to take a break? We have so much more to talk about, and we have fan questions.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break. I'm exhausted.
Go take a nap. We'll be right back.
Hi.
Okay.
We're back.
We're back.
I took a quick bath. I relaxed.
Yep. Got a massage.
Yep.
Did my nails. JK, we were just here. What do you want to talk about next before we
I have so many notes.
I know.
I just want to quickly talk about Yatanus' directing. That you said something when we were doing the rewatch, which I really agree with, is that every time he directed, it feels like, and Kevin Hooks too, but he was producing director, so he had kind of more agency in a way. But Yatanus has such a filmic sense. I mean, there's so many, he does so many things efficiently that people didn't used to do on TV. I mean, the dissolves of Wentworth walking into the desert, the dissolves of Kellerman on the bed, the way that he's telling this story visually, time passes and the distance passes. And it's also an incredibly efficient way to shoot. Like with Wentworth, he just locked it off and had him walk probably for 2 minutes and then cut it and dissolved it. And it's 5 seconds.
We're moving on.
And we're right. And that's right. It's a very filmic decision to shoot that in one, let's say.
And so to finish the thought is what I'd said on the rewatch is I think every time he came and directed on the show, he made the show better.
Yeah.
And like people would then use some of his techniques going forward.
And the DPs would remember it. And
yeah. And the operators and everything. One of my favorite things that he did in this episode was so subtle. I don't think I've ever seen it before. But when Michael is driving up to the Bolshoi booze, to the point where he gets out of the taxi or whatever, the truck that he's caught a ride in, the rear view mirror on the passenger side is chrome, and it reflects the landscape in front of him. Cool. And first of all, it must have been a super pain in the ass to not get a camera in that reflection.
Right.
But it's beautiful, like it's perfectly sky, horizon, land. And it's just coming towards you, showing you what they're looking at out the windshield. And it's a beautiful shot. And then he gets out and all the heat reflections. He was smart enough to be like, get down low enough
so we can see
that we see how hot, and the distortion, like it's gorgeous.
It's so efficient.
And it looks like something out of like a
Western,
really classy Western.
Yeah, and it's so efficient.
Yep.
It's like, it sounds like, oh, that's super complicated, but it actually, like, it may have taken it longer, but you only need one shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In theory, it's a developing master.
Right. Developing
so,
master.
yes. To
and also, I'll also say a lot of push-ins in this episode. A lot of, like, when Sucre and Michael are in the barn with the guys, like, there's a lot of, like, emotional push-ins that we don't do a lot on this show. There's also some extreme close-up work for you and me in particular.
Oh my god. Like I said, over 40, don't ever shoot me that close. Like, don't do that.
We used to call it on Prison Break, or Watkins called it close, closer, and oh my god.
100%.
And you can't move. Like, that's the other thing you gotta realize, that when you're in that critical focus, you really can't move.
I was tied to a chair. It was fine.
Fair enough. But I move my head when I act, so I'm like a...
Yeah, you do the Clooney thing.
I do the old Clooney thing.
Something else we remarked about that I thought was kind of cool is his slow motion bullet shot.
Yeah.
Which is very hard to do.
The shell spinning.
Yeah, the casing coming towards from one bodyguard to the other bodyguard. And you also saw the smoke from the gun. So I did a shot like that on an episode of Fire Country that I directed, but we shot it at 240 frames, I think. And that's probably the wrong frame rate, but some crazy high.
Yeah.
It was super slow. We were looking for that like Guy Ritchie shot of like.
Yeah.
And the bullet was going to be CGI. So we had to run a string from the tip of the gun to the place it was hitting, and just go like that. But what I didn't know, because it was the first time I'd ever done a shot.
What was this in? Excuse me.
The episode I did, the third season of Fire Country.
Okay.
And we hadn't done anything like that on the show before, and so we were all kind of excited about it. And the DP was, he had to get a special camera that could do the thing. And we set up for it. And I walk onto the set and it's the light of the sun. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on? He's like, oh, I have to hyper light the set
it's moving so fast.
At that frame rate. Otherwise, it's going to be too dark. And it was wild because I had a couple actors who had to be on set in full fireman gear. And it was like 95 degrees in there. And we were like, okay, so this is something that I'm learning. And, they were great about it. And because they were in full fireman gear, we actually just put ice packs. We gave them a vest and they wore ice packs around them.
Wow.
So they were fine. But it was really interesting. And it reminded me that anytime you change the frame rate, like 48 frames, which is typical slow motion, is not that big a deal. But you go above that and you have to light it really bright to compensate for how quickly
I would think
how
it would be.
quickly the frame
Okay,
rate is going.
I'm not a DP, but yeah.
It was a learning experience for me. But it's anyway, as I was watching Greg's shot, I was like, I bet this is before you could do this in CG and you actually had to capture the real bullet on actual film.
Wow.
Which is, a ton of work.
Super impressive. I want to talk about Romy Rosemont.
Oh, God, she's good.
I worked with her in private practice. We became friends. She's just a wonderful actor.
Okay, wait, who did she play? Just so that people know.
She played the police officer that's dealing with Bellick, right? At the hospital. And then when he finds Geary dead, she's like, we need to talk. I assume she'll be in the next episode too.
She better be, otherwise she's catastrophically underused.
Yeah.
You had said something about Dom.
Yeah, watching Dom, watching him fight in that fight scene, you just buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's beating the shit out of that guy.
Yeah.
And, Link the Sink.
Yeah.
But he's a big guy. But also, you just buy him. I don't know if he was actually a scrapper. I know he was a surfer. I don't know if he was actually a fighter.
I think he's had his share.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I don't want to make like cultural generalizations, but it feels like most Australians have scrapped around a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
But also, like, it does give the show credibility because I hate it when you look at two people in a fight and you're like, nope, I'm sorry, you don't win this fight.
That's right.
You don't win this fight. Not against that guy.
And not that easily or whatever it is.
Yeah, but I buy it.
Well, also the way they do it is like he's not like doing Krav Maga. He's just overpowering the guy and beating him to a pulp. It's like, it's very basic.
And then there's some knife stuff that, like fight in the kitchen, knife block.
Yeah, knife block. Big butcher's
please.
Knife. Scary.
God, there's a lot in this episode for Utanis in terms of like stunts and
big episode. And then speaking of which, I guess it goes to theme and it goes to the scene with Michael letting those guys go. But I mean, they take a good 2 minutes and he goes to a church.
In the confessions.
And confessions. I mean, that's a big ask, kind of. Like it seemed almost out of left field. Obviously, it directly pays. There's a theme going on in this episode of him feeling, which he basically states in that scene, which is, I've let a lot of bad people do bad things in efforts to get, and then it's great how it pays off because you think, oh, is he going to let these guys go? Is he not going to let him go? This guy's going to bleed out. And he lets him go. And the fact that he lets him go means the guy then gives him the actual coordinates of the plane because he had lied to him. It's so great.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you one quick question because it's a very fast one. At Stephanie Reed 4732 says, who do you enjoy playing more, Lance or Paul?
Paul.
Okay. See, that was a quick question. You guys, we will do more fan questions. We will. Do you want to do one real quick or should we sign off? Because I
want to do one. Rob Sara.
That's probably Roberto, and I just typed it wrong.
Roberto. Okay.
Sorry, Roberto.
Sara, have you ever thought that the love story between Michael and Sara got overshadowed by the actioniness of the show?
Not really, because I think that's the show. I think this is...
Yeah.
I think this is a show about familial love between two brothers, and everything is in service of that. And the love story, I think it's a different show if the love story is at the heart of it.
Yeah. That's right.
But I do think without the love story, the action part of it doesn't matter.
Yep.
And I mean that love story between the familial love stories. You know what I mean? Like between Mahone and Pam, and then later Mahone and Lane, and between Lincoln and LJ. Like,
I think that what a show does when it's a really great show is like almost every relationship is somehow an echo of the primary idea.
Yeah.
In some way or
absolutely.
Some way or another. What in this one it has to do with like what would you do for love? What would you do for family?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when do you know if you've crossed over?
And when do you know if you've crossed the line?
Specifically.
Yeah.
Because in some ways, this is the episode where Kellerman
100%
almost looks like he doesn't want to cross the line. And something that I thought was, this will be my last thought, then we'll do our credits. Something that interested me actually, and I don't remember making a decision about this. I think this was just sort of intuitive. I don't see a moment, nor do I remember one, where Sara even considers telling Kellerman what he wants to hear.
No, and
I don't think there's a moment.
And she figures it out halfway through. Key. Right. Well, I think, yes, which I think
before
is
the
great.
torture starts. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool because also I think it speaks to her character in terms of she knows he's up to no good, but I also think it's a reaction to betrayal. Mm-hmm. It's like a screw you. Yeah, like no.
Yeah, yeah. There's an oppositional aspect to it. Yeah, I think also there is, I think there's also from her perspective, once you're in this room, you're not coming out. These are the people who killed my father. These are the people who are trying to kill Lincoln. Like, they got me. It's over. I can either go out with some shred of integrity and dignity, or I can go out without it. But I don't think Kellerman may feel like I don't.
Yeah,
have
you
to
don't
kill her to
believe
get out of
you
here.
don't believe him at all.
I don't think
you
so.
think you're done.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think so. I think as soon as like she's in that hotel room, there's a like, oh well, all right.
Yeah.
You know, it's been pointing in this direction for a while. Like, things have been getting worse.
Oh, man.
Okay.
All
anyway, thanks for all your questions. I know we didn't answer them specifically by name, but we wrapped things up.
Prison breaking.
Paul thinks you'd be happier if you had a mug.
I do. Made me happier.
There's a bunch of different styles. Mine is still in the mail, but I'm looking forward to it. The Post, the Canada Post.
All right.
All right. Want to wrap up?
Yeah.
Is that what you've been doing while we've been talking?
That's where I took my notes.
I love it.
Prison Breaking with Sara and Paul is a Caliber Studio production.
Your hosts have been inmates, Sara Wayne Callies and Paul Edelstein.
Prison Warden is producer Ben Haber.
Frontman of our Jailhouse Rock Band is, hey, that guy, Paul Edelstein, who made all our music and is making so much noise folding paper.
Sorry. Our Prison Yard tattoo artist, logo, and brand designer is John Nunziato at Little Big Brands. Check them out at www.littlebig.brands.com.
You can follow us on Instagram or YouTube at Prison Break Podcast. You can email us at pbpodcast@caliber-studio.com. You can call us at 4013-PBreak. You can also join our Patreon community and the link wherever you are listening right now.
And you can get merch.
Oh, yeah, merch.
Prison Breaking with Sara and Paul has been a Caliber Studio production. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Bye, guys.